This is a Bergen Film Club podcast.
Like an old movie removed from the frame, I am floating and looking for someone to blame. Won't you project me on the walls of your heart? I'm waiting for the real thing to start.
Hello, welcome to The Real Thing. I'm your host, Joe Lawrence. This is our recommendation episode that I'm with a board member or anyone else who's I deem worthy enough to give recommendations. Today, I'm joined by one of the board members of Bergen Film Club, Remi.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being on. Second time on the podcast, officially.
Yes,
Yeah.
officially, second time.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit about what you do on the board as another kind of fresh face-ish on the board?
Yeah.
What's your job title and what do you do?
So my name's Remi, and I've been in the board for 2 years now, I think. And I am head of communications, we call it in English, and then eksternansvarlig in norsk. My role is external stuff like the mail, and then also being a representative of BFK at the venue that we rent, Kvarteret. So being at meetings there, booking the cinema hall, and fun stuff like that. Keeping BFK organized.
Mm-hmm. And like communicating with whoever we work with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, there is some bleeding in BFK with roles if we have major events, and maybe this is more suited for Amina, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If we have directors coming over, but generally, like general communications, in and outgoings is what I would do.
Yeah. Okay. And you like, I feel like I keep asking everyone on the board this question, but it doesn't mean it. Like, do you like being on the board?
Yeah, I love it.
I feel like no one's gonna say no.
No
But
one's gonna say no, of
I
course.
still ask every time.
No, it's a great privilege to be able to work so closely with like an institute of Bergen, sort of a cultural institute of Bergen.
Mm.
Really love that. And then, of course, from the outside, it can look like this role may be a lot of work, and admittedly, I do think it is a lot of work. But I really like the work I do with the organizing and everything, which makes it feel like not a lot of work. So, I mean, I don't know if I would be able to do any other board roles, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I really like it. I really like the role in itself, and I really like being in the board more generally, like being a part of BFK.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice, historic community to be a part of. Like, knowing that it's been going for so many years beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. You sort of get a foothold in, or you sort of leave a footprint, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you'll always have been a part of BFK, and you'll always would have been a board member, and whoever generation comes after you will build upon what you've done. And we're building upon what the previous generation did, so it's really cool to think about, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Hit me with some recommendations then.
Okay. I've been struggling to think, but I've come up with 4.
Lovely.
My first recommendation is a very classic one. It's After Sun, the movie that came out in 2022 by Charlotte Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Her debut film, if I recall correctly, and it's just amazing. It's probably, if people ask me and press me like, what is your favorite movie, I will most often than not say After Sun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did you like so much about it?
It's well, for me this is considered almost like perfect, right? So all of the grunnleggende all of the fundamentals are in place for me. Like the camera work is fantastic, the editing and pacing is fantastic, the acting, especially from both Paul Mescal and I can't remember the name. Frankie Corio, fantastic.
Yeah,
they really seem like they have a lot of chemistry.
yeah,
And looks like a proper
yeah.
proper
real
dad-daughter
family.
vacation. But what I really fell in love with, I guess, is that Aftersun for me has the most accurate and most like heart-wrenching reflection of male depression that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like of course depression, depression hits everyone
Yeah, like
differently.
it looks different in
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
But there is some specificity, I think we can say, on like a general basis about how depression hits, for example, genders differently.
Yeah.
And Aftersun does a really good job in like showing how depression mixed with like masculinity and like societal expectation of masculinity blends together.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't ever say that he's depressed.
Yeah.
It's never actually directly addressed, and some people might even argue that he isn't. That is, I've heard people argue that it's an allegory for overdose, for example.
Oh.
But for me, it's just the way he always just tries to be happy for his daughter that he's on vacation with, but he
Yeah.
obviously just isn't.
Yeah, he's like trying to be the version that he's supposed, like version of the person that he's supposed to be.
Exactly, and we see this when like in depression, it sort of balls up and then it gets to a breaking point. He gets that a lot, like when he isn't able to sing karaoke with her, or he gets like very awkward during the happy birthday singing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Really great.
The karaoke scene is like, one of the most uncomfortable scenes in cinema history for me.
It's so uncomfortable and it's heart-wrenching.
So heart-wrenching.
And this is all sort of built through the movie with the subtle increase in the increase in how little subtle it is told that he is depressed and is not maybe actively trying to kill himself, but like passively not caring.
Yeah.
Like you'll get a few shots in the beginning of the movie. This is a bit of spoiler territory, but you'll get scenes in the beginning of the movie where it's like first time you watch it, maybe you just don't think about like why is this here? Like it's just him walking across the street, right? But then like he's walking across the street during a red light because he doesn't mind if he gets like run over.
Right.
It would be a great excuse to be run over and not have to
take responsibility
for killing.
Yeah.
And then of course it just there's plenty of these scenes where it just gets better and better in my opinion. Like when he dives and then Charlotte decides to hold the camera on the water very long because he doesn't mind drowning. And then you obviously have when he runs into the sea drunk to swim.
Yes.
That's the same. He doesn't plan on coming back, obviously. Like he gets injured and whatnot. And then it just he this sort of balls on until we get to the finale where he just actively, most likely, does it, right?
Yeah.
And then of course the last part about like why I love Aftersun is it is so tied to the director, and it's just if anyone's listening to this, I highly recommend you read her letter regarding Aftersun.
Right. Okay.
Charlotte Wells' letter of Aftersun on the A24 website, and then you'll see a picture of her and her daughter, and it is so sad that the casting is amazing. Her father looks like Paul Mescal.
Yeah. I've seen these pictures. Yeah. It's like a perfect kind of like capsule of that moment, I think.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the relationship between the dad, but also like a nice memory of the last holiday that she would have shared with him.
Yeah, exactly. And Aftersun is a movie I could talk about forever, but this is another thing. Like she talks about how this movie shows how memories can deceive us, and well, there's some scenes in Aftersun with when she's grown up, and it's like her trying to sort of piece together her last memory of her dad through these VHS tapes. This is another thing that's great, by the way. If you ever rewatch it, try to see the difference between when the movie is shot as a movie and when the movie uses VHS.
Hello.
It's a great sort of distinction between showing what's reality and what Sophie imagines happened. Yeah, the next movie I'm going to recommend is the documentary Searching for Sugar Man from 2012. It's gotten a bit more, I guess, exposure because last year, if I recall correctly, the musician in the documentary, spoiler alert, died, unfortunately, Rodriguez. But this documentary is just insane. It's one of the most encapsulating documentaries I've ever seen, like the most interesting history I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Documentary, yeah.
So what's kind of like the story of it? I've never heard of it.
I'll give you a quick rundown, spoiler-free version, and then I guess a bit more spoilery. The documentary is about a musician, Rodriguez, who just lives in USA and produces music, and unbeknownst to him becomes the biggest musician in South Africa.
Oh.
Like they talk about it with the people who lives there and production companies and everything. He was bigger than Hendrix. He was bigger than Elvis. He was the biggest artist in South America, but he didn't even know it. He didn't even know that he had popped off in South America. He thought he had failed as a musician in America. And then the documentary is sort of them trying to find this guy, to find Sugarman as he is dubbed.
Yeah.
And then learning that a lot of, people locally talk about that he died, and then there's different stories about how he died, like he had a bad show and killed himself on stage and he just disappeared and etc. But then they sort of dive deeper as you do in documentaries and start to figure out like where did his money go that he was supposed to earn, like why
why didn't he know he was successful?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean the
really
answer lies with musical production, of course, like big
all the way to the top.
Yes. And then if we dive in a bit into the spoilery version, he did survive. Like they thought he died.
Oh.
But he was in fact not dead. He just went to America because he thought he failed as a musician. Or I mean, he lived in America, but he never released anything else because he thought he would fail as a musician.
Oh.
And then the people who made the documentary found him.
Yeah.
Took him back to South America. And he sold out concert after concert after concert without knowing imagine that, like one day you're just a failed musician and that you live your life like a normal, I think you work like a bricklayer or something in America, and then like the next day you get a message that you are like, there's a documentary being made about you, you're the biggest artist in one specific country, and then like a week after you flow down to that country and perform your music for a audience of multiple thousands of people. It's insane.
Yeah. That sounds super interesting. What was the guy called?
Rodriguez. Sicto Rodriguez, I think.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. If you wanna see a documentary where like the documentary in itself, like what the documentary is about, is interesting. If you're like that type of person, I would highly recommend watching this. The story is insane.
Yeah, huge twist that he wasn't dead. That's crazy.
Huge twist. Sorry for spoiling it.
No. It's like all the more intriguing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Do you want to do one more?
One more?
Yeah.
Damn.
Or two more, whatever you want.
No, it's fine.
Three more.
Okay, I'll do one more, but kind of like three. I'm going to say the Oslo trilogy by Joachim Trier, but then I guess more specifically Oslo 31st August, Oslo 31st of August. One of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, of course, this is a part of a trilogy.
Yeah.
All of the three movies are great, in my opinion. And Joachim Trier is probably my, if not favorite, at least director I currently like anticipate stuff from. Like, I really want to see the next Joachim Trier movie. But yeah, Oslo 31st of August, heart-wrenching. It's about a recovering a recovering drug addicted person in Oslo, and it just follows him throughout the whole day from morning to night to the time it goes over to the 31st of August. And yeah, I love this movie. I have had a tradition the past like 4 years to always watch it on the 31st of August. And I just love these movies where we just follow a person or persons throughout one day, or like a sequence without it cutting a lot.
Yeah.
Sort of like Cleo from 5 to 7 is the same. Just follows a person from 5 to 7. Amazing. Same with also 31st August. And it encapsulates the bad parts of Oslo in a very good way, I think. It's very Oslo's sort of centered, but I think you will like it even though you're not from there. But I think, I guess getting extra tight to the city doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only seen Verdens Beste Menneske, but I found that tough. That was a very difficult movie for me.
Yeah, that is extremely sad, and I will say that also 31st of August is that just sadder. Just even more depressing.
I can't imagine that. Damn. Yeah, but it's what's the guy called? Who's like in all of his movies?
Andreas Danielsen Lia. Yeah.
Very talented actor.
Yeah, I love Anders. She's just a talented person in general. You know, during COVID, he was like the main doctor at the Oslo hospital, and now he's a doctor and an actor. Like, where is the time?
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. No, but everyone in this movie is great. The great acting, and he does such a good job in sort of showing. He's like a Norwegian Paul Mescal. He just plays sad characters, but he does it really well.
Yeah.
There's one scene that hits very hard where a friend of his talks to him about his drug addiction, and he sort of tries to convince him that everything is going to be alright and you'll get over this. And then Anders Lie, the drug addict, says that everything is going to be fine, to encourage his friend. And then as soon as his friend gets like his smile back and is like, oh yeah, he thinks everything's going to be fine, he just hits him with like no, it's not. It's never going to be fine.
Oh.
And then they cut. Leave it at that. This movie is great, and it's very sad, and I love it, and I will watch it this year as well. At Cinematheca, hopefully, if they screen it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I thought it was like cool because I didn't know that it was part of a trilogy, but it was kind of fun watching, I guess, like the third one, because you kind of like, because this character's in the third movie as well.
Yeah. You don't need to watch it as a trilogy. It's a loose trilogy.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes a trilogy is that it's the same director with the same actors, and all of them are based in Oslo. But the actors played new characters.
Yeah.
But it does not hurt to watch them, because all three movies are great.
Yes. And there's a new Oslo trilogy coming, right?
Yeah, by a different director. I know the first movie is out soon. It's called Sex.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it this Wednesday. It looks very interesting.
I will watch it. I have high expectations, considering this one.
Yeah. Did you want to do another one? Or?
Okay, I'll do one very quickly.
Okay.
I'm going to suggest Ali Ferris' Soul. We've screened it at Bergen Film Club before.
We did.
But watch this one. Beautiful movie. Heart-wrenching movie. Shows how shallow humanity can be. How societal standards and norms can just be, straight up shallow. Yeah. How the norms we have puts expectations on people, where they end up sacrificing their own happiness for, confronting to society's standards. Yeah. Considering,
because of the age difference.
This movie is a movie about two people falling in love that are from two completely different backgrounds, and then from with two completely different age profiles. With a grown man and then a senior woman. With the grown man being from I don't quite remember, but he's
newly immigrated to
Yeah.
to Germany. I think another reason why I think that's so sad is because it like reminds you sometimes in relationships like love isn't enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Other things need to also work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad that we kind of, I guess, live in a society where
We live in a society.
we do live in a society.
Yeah.
But we live in a society where you sort of, even if you love a person a lot, and then there's nothing like wrong about the relationship, like
Mm.
you're not dating someone that's underage or whatever, but like you're in a relationship, you can like have a fear of introducing your newly found partner to your friends or family or whatever because of societal standards. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you love this person, but what will other people think?
Yeah.
And this is what Ali Fears is all sort of really under points. It's like, it's this constant thought we have about what will the rest of society think.
Yeah.
Or
Very good though, despite it being sad.
Janteloven, as we call it in Norway. This
Mm.
is a movie that's very about Janteloven, actually. Yeah.
Very good recommendations. Seeing as I've seen 3 out of 4 of them, I also agree that they're also very good.
Yeah, I thought to pick someone that is available. I think all of these should be available as streaming.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
This has been a Bergen Film Club production. Our music is by Wise John. Check them out on Instagram at WISEJohnOfficial. Our logo is by Pia Sofia Brentersen. This episode was produced, mixed and engineered by Joel Lawrence. Our researchers are Inke Schilpgrijben and Mamina Nazmajid. Want to talk to us about films? Then please send us an email at podcast@bergenfilmclub.com. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at TheRealThingPod. Check us out on Letterboxd at BFK The Real Thing. Thank you and goodbye. Listen, follow, leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts.